Right, it's the ultimate failed state. A land of war and piracy. But what's it like to live in the anarchy of Somalia?
They call this the Mogadishu music.
I'm going where no Western journalist has been, to witness a crisis that threatens millions of lives.
This madness, this desperate panic for food happens every single day of the year.
An offshoot of Al-Qaeda controls most of the country and vows to avenge bin Laden's death. But can a small force of African troops really keep them at bay?
This is an international problem. It will grow and it will backfire on all of us.
This is a story of one country's catastrophe. A tragedy that threatens the security of the West. This is the world's biggest refugee camp. Dadaab in northern Kenya. Over 250,000 Somalis are here, and still they're coming. It is the most visible sign of Somalia's collapse.
This is the processing of humans on an industrial scale. They're pushing through about 600 people today, and at the moment they're processing about 9,000 a month. This is the processing, I guess, of the end of a nation.
Most who come here never leave.
There is no water. We only have sticks to build a shelter. We have young children. There's no shade. No sanitation.
But even this desolation is better than the nightmare they left behind. I'm going to see what they're running from. A journey to the heart of a brutal civil war. Somalia sits on the Horn of Africa. Its war started 20 years ago when rebels toppled the Marxist dictator. The Americans sent peacekeepers in, but local militias forced them out after the famous Black Hawk Down incident. Since then, few Westerners have dared to venture here. I've been here before. In 2005, I came to cover the crisis with my producer, but a gunman shot and killed her. For me, this is unfinished business. There is no way a foreigner can survive here without guns. I need a private militia to move around. Most of Mogadishu is hidden from the outside world. Kidnappers and bandits are rife, and anti-Western Islamic jihadis control much of the city. We have to move at speed to avoid an attack.
Driving around Mogadishu can feel a little bit chaotic at times. It gives a completely new meaning to the term defensive driving.
My first stop is the Medina Hospital, one of the few places of refuge in Mogadishu. Even on a quiet day, the corridors are filled with war casualties. We find victims wounded by all sides. 14-year-old Abbas was caught by a roadside bomb. He was helping his friend Rahma sell a rare luxury here, ice cream.
That day, I came from school. Then the blast happened. Thinking about it makes me feel very sad. Rama was there with me. We were walking together when it went off. Her clothes were on fire.
Abbas and Rama were lucky to survive. 7 others were killed. Before I move on, there's somewhere else I want to visit, where I last saw my colleague Kate Payton after she'd been shot. This hospital and this corridor in particular have some very difficult memories for me. It was here that we brought Kate just before she went into surgery, and coming back here has made me feel frankly quite bloody-minded about finishing the story that we originally came to do. Kate died a few hours after the operation. Her killers have never been found. But every day the surgeons here still manage to save life after life. Doctor, hi, how are you?
How are you doing?
Dr. Muhammad Yusuf is the hospital's director. He gave up a good practice in Italy to come here 9 years ago. In this room we've got three gunshot victims. What else?
Gunshot, landmine, hand bomb. We have shells, you know, the mortars, no?
How does it make you feel when you see these kinds of injuries come in all the time?
How I feel?
Yeah. As a doctor, as someone who's trying to help people survive, help people, save people's lives.
It's just frustration. We have chronic frustration, you know, because this thing is happening continuously.
It's interesting coming here because, you know, I think we've met once before, back in 2005.
Yes.
When Kate Payton was shot. Do you remember?
Yes.
We were together.
At that time,
yes.
That time, can you imagine the situation comparing to today? The situation was better.
It seems
that disaster was better situation than what it is today in the country.
It's hard to imagine that Somalia could be worse than when I last came here. But since then, the war has taken a terrible toll on the civilians. In all, as many as 1 million people may have died. I'm going to see where the fighting is taking place. The safest way to get there is with heavily armed troops sent by the African Union. They're here defending a new UN-backed government trying to unite Somalia. On the way to the front, we pass Parliament House. MPs sit here in a bunker under the building. This is the old Parliament Hall. You can't help but be struck by the irony of this, particularly this mural which depicts Somalia breaking free from the chains of oppression. The building is regularly attacked by the new enemy, Al-Shabaab. They're a force of militant Islamists, organised, committed and closely linked to Al-Qaeda. They want to take over Somalia and impose an extremist brand of Islam deeply alien to the more tolerant version practiced here. And they're waging a bitter campaign against the African Union troops. We arrive at an African Union stronghold manned by Ugandans. They're resupplying during a day-long battle. What's that firing at the moment that we're hearing? What's the shooting that we're hearing?
The shooting is just down here in the valley, where the enemy was, and now we pushed him some the distance behind. So, but he's trying to fight on so that he can regain the place. But we're also saying no.
Major Anthony Mbusi commands this sector of the front line. His mission is to drive Al-Shabaab back and help secure the city so the government can start doing its job.
Major, it sounds like there's fighting just down here.
Yes, that's the fighting going on. You see the red Lufthouse?
Yeah, I got it.
That's now the enemy.
And how much ground are you being able to take to me?
100 meters, an area of 100 meters.
It is a war of attrition. In 4 years of fighting, the African Union has taken only a few square kilometers of the city. Al-Shabaab fighters are never far away.
There's a sniper in the north, and he keeps harassing us here. But war is won by taking risks, so sometimes we cross. Now
We decide to take the long way round.
This is what 20 years of urban warfare does to a city. And remember, these aren't flimsy mud buildings, but this is solid concrete construction. It's just incredible.
The front line cuts through this once elegant middle-class suburb, past fighters barricaded in someone's lounge, a supply line cutting through a child's nursery, and somebody's bathroom, now a machine gun nest.
It's hand-to-hand fighting practically.
Yes.
It's house-to-house fighting.
yes, and we're becoming experts, I could say.
Let's keep going.
There's always danger here. Even underfoot, there's the threat of unexploded bombs, mines, and booby traps.
Just come this side. Come this side. Come this side. Do you see a red house, a red Luft house? Yeah. Yeah. Are you seeing it?
Yeah.
Yes. Someone has just fired here. Just come this side.
It's around just there.
Yeah, it landed there. It landed there, and that's where they are. They are now. They are in that building now.
Okay.
It's not, let's move out of this place because it's not so secure. As I told you, we've just taken it. Yeah. Are there?
Okay. Is that mortars or?
That's a mortar.
Okay.
That's a mortar. Hiyo moto imeandikwa nani?
Let's find the mortar there.
Go behind us. Drop the mortar.
Let's go. Wamekuja.
We leave. The Ugandans continue the fight. Al-Shabaab have vowed to avenge Osama bin Laden's death, and they're recruiting jihadis from around the world. MI5 warns Al-Shabaab may soon inspire terrorism on Britain's streets. This has become a war the West needs the African Union to win.
Do you feel comfortable fighting that war on terror on behalf of the rest of the world?
What do I have to do? If I just urge my the